Hello, assalamu alaikum, and welcome, guys. This is Muslim Online here. If you're tuning into this video, you've probably seen the trailer for The Lady of Heaven, and you may be confused by the plot or wondering what the plot is about and why it transitions from modern timeline to historical timelines and how it ties those two together. Well, you're in luck, because in this video, I'm going to cover the plot and the trailer and give you the background as to what we can expect from this movie. So let's get right into it. The story, or the movie's rather, about the story of the daughter of the Holy Prophet, Lady Fatima. She's the daughter of Prophet Muhammad. It covers her life, her struggle, her stand, and the period between time period between 614 and 632 AD. It's the tagline is the untold story, and I think that's a fair assessment, because if you were to ask anybody, even ask yourself if you're a Muslim, or ask your friends, what do they know about Lady Fatima? So other than her relationship with her father, her husband, or her kids, I don't believe anybody, most people anyway, know nothing about her life. If you ask someone, tell me about Lady Fatima, if they know something about her, they'll tell you she's the daughter of the Prophet. She is the wife of Imam Ali, and she's the mother of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein. But other than that, no one really knows anything about her. So I think this is truly an untold story, and I think it's important for everyone to know, especially Muslims. So let's get right into the trailer. So the trailer starts with ISIS rolling in. It's a modern time Iraq. So in Iraq, ISIS rolls in their famous pickup trucks. You see it shifts to a clip of two boys, kind of hiding with all the chaos that's going on. And then the mother comes to, take the boy to safety. Eventually, through some circumstances, his mother dies. And so the boy is taken rescued by a soldier, who then takes him to a grandmother to look after him. And so as the boy struggles to understand what happened to him, why his mother had to die, why anyone would do this, the grandmother tries to console him, and she begins by telling him the story of Lady Fatima. Now, the boy's mother's Fatima, but the Prophet's daughter's name's also Fatima. So she asks him, has your mother ever told you about the Lady of Heaven? Her name is Fatima also. And through the boy's imagination, the historical timelines come to life. And so this is where the flashback starts. And so we see, famous historical events that happened at that time. So we see the migration from Mecca to Medina. I believe we see the wedding of Lady Fatima and her marriage to Imam Ali. We see the famous Islamic battles. We see the event of Ghadir, which is an important event, and that signifies when the Prophet appointed Imam Ali as his successor. We see also another famous event called Hadith al-Kisa, or the Hadith narration of the cloak. That's the scene where you see the angels, and if you actually zoom in, you'll see the holy figures. So I won't say much about that, other than I will post the link to Hadith al-Kisa below. You can read it if you want. And so all of this is really leading up to the main story behind the movie, which is her unfortunate and horrible martyrdom. So after the Prophet passed away or was martyred, some of the Muslim community decided that they want to take leadership for themselves. And so they sidelined Imam Ali, and so they elected amongst themselves a successor to the Prophet. But Imam Ali and Lady Fatima were totally against this, and in fact, her house was the center of the rebellion against the coup. So, no, I should say the resistance against the coup. The figures who took over after the Prophet's death wanted to squash this resistance. And during during that time, her house was burned, she was attacked, and she eventually died from her wound. And she instructed her husband to bury her in secret and not let anybody know where she's buried. In fact, I think that's one of Fatima's message to us, to our generation, that something happened at that time that is still unresolved to this day. And as a consequence of that, no one knows where she's buried. You ask anyone where she buried, no one knows. Now, you might ask yourself, how did they keep this a secret? So how did her husband bury her and no one know where she is? Well, they actually cover that in the movie. You see a scene where they zoom out and you see multiple graves. So what happened was, when she passed away, she instructed him to bury her husband to bury her in secret and not let anyone know where she is. And so he buried her, but he also dug 40 graves in total, and they're identical to one another. And so in the morning, when the companions and some of the other folks came to see what's going on, where she is, they saw that there's 40 graves. And so they couldn't identify where she's buried, like specifically which grave is hers. And so that's how they kept it a secret. And so the movie covers those events, which no one really wants to talk about, because everyone thinks that it's controversial. There's makes some people angry, but it is what it is. And those events don't happen in a vacuum. No one wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to burn down the house of the Prophet's daughter. And so the reason why we see all of the other historical events is because you need to understand what is it that led up to that moment in history. What is it that led up to her house being burned? And so all of the other pieces all tie into it. Now, the other thing that the trailer covers in the voiceover is that the sedition against Imam Ali has far-reaching implications that affect us to this day. So the events that took place after the death of the Prophet gave birth to terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram. Tons of terrorist groups out there. And if they hadn't done what they did back then, we wouldn't have ISIS today. And so I think part of the message of the movie is that if we understand the mistakes of the past, we can address the problems we have today by not repeating the same mistakes or following in the same footsteps of those people. So that's it. That's my the plot of my understanding of the plot of the movie. So I'm Muslim Online. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you in the next video.
إذا زينب بكت أشوق حلق الدهر إذا زينب بكت أشوق حلق الدهر منو قال أجي يم الخيم ولا صوت